manifests itself in various forms. So multi-stakeholder processes may experience differently in time and space, and it can be varies from situation to situation.
In reality, those practices were often being hijacked by some of the most powerful stakeholders.
Important when you are designing these platforms to consider how many skills will be represented.
I don't see actually multi-stakeholder platforms or a process as a policy tool when the decisions are transformative and when the scale of policy is large.
Yes, I do think that power dynamics are really kind of a huge force for good, but also for bad. In order to change things, you need to have the right convening power, the right knowledge power, the right convincing power, political power. Otherwise, an MSP is just a toothless animal.
Multi-stakeholder platforms create trust-based relations that enable and empower the actors involved for active participation. In many contexts, the distribution of power, capacity, and resources are generally imbalanced.
How it influences actually depend on the context. Asian context or Southeast Asian mostly, where decision-making structures are already well established, the power roles determines which position you are getting in the multi-stakeholder process. And in African context, it's very heterogeneous. It will be influencing what will happen after the multi-stakeholder process.
Perceptions is very important when we are talking about power dynamics. Same for conflict of interests, because when you are constructing a water development projects, it is not only about land productivity or creating new jobs, but what about the memory people have about this water resource?
Power differences really matters. If the outcome is related to common decision-making processes and it requires learning, that difference needs to be considered because it has influence. But if it's about really attendance of the people in the project events or is the engagement of different actors, that actually I don't think the power dynamics in the multi-stakeholder process play a role, because eventually actually for multi-stakeholder processes and events are not the key determining factor for identifying participation and engagement of the people in the process.
We often use the image of creating a level playing field. I think that's an illusion. In reality, power works in such ways that even if you have the power to organize an MSP, you don't have the power to really kind of limit the power of others in certain ways. One of the ways you can go is to see how you can empower some of the less experienced or some of the weaker parties.
To change the power dynamics is about knowledge and science. All water project developments is based on complicated science. Besides some mainstreaming concepts like integrated water management, adaptive governance, water security, all of this complication make the platform exclude civil society actors who are not aligned with these tools and concepts.
You need to strike the right balance between reflection and action. If you've got too much talking, then usually the private sector walks away because they don't have time for that. If you do too much action, then a lot of the NGOs, they will say, well, wait a minute, we actually didn't discuss this properly. If you organize it well and you've got a combination of a researcher's mindset who's really reflective and asking the right questions, together with somebody who's really focused on getting to solutions and helping people to synthesize different ideas, helping to prioritize them, then you've got a really strong combination.
Dealing with power involves delicate processes of mediation to promote comprehensive power analysis procedures to develop power-sensitive strategies and actions. Looking at that blockchain can be one of the leading transformative influences. I can see that creating a new framework for citizen engagement, transparent knowledge sharing, and a paradigm shift that could improve the water sector is a potential of that technology. Technology by itself is not sufficient to ensure such benefits and sustainable resources management. Instead, their implementation and in the various ways that create benefits are the solutions. This is where the actors, the stakeholders come to the picture to making sure the benefits are going to be gained and negative consequences of new technologies is going to be reduced.
Development organization for water, when they would like to invite civil society in such a platform, they prefer to invite is legally registered, which has high calibers and well-educated members and advocating for the same water concept. So such invitation process could include the powerful civil society and exclude or mute direct community or direct stakeholder for water project. In such platforms, as politics inside is coming, first of all, from the confusion of saying we are not a political platform, depoliticize water projects or water development issue.
Yes, it's political, at least with two channels. The first, although it is not by intention, it really uses as a political tool for Western civilization, let me say, to influence the decision-making processes in the rest of the world. And second, it's a political tool to sort of improve the use of some unproven or not evidence-based innovations in many parts of the world, and the kind of trying to justify the approach by its good intention.
Without having a roadmap for this digital transformation in the water sector, it is really hard to make sure that all stakeholders benefit from its advancement, and it is not becoming a negative, extra influential factor on the power dynamics among them.
If you open up the floor, within 10 minutes, some of the more politically talented people, they would capture the floor and they would, frame the issue their way, only invite kind of an irritated response from some of the others. And then you're back in the dynamic which you actually want to avoid. And effectively, you want to move from that type of debating style, and you rather go for dialogue, where people are listening to each other and building a conversation together, rather than just having multiple shouting matches. So that means that as a facilitator, you need to have a plan of how you immobilize some of these kind of politically smart people who will end up wanting to debate rather than to do dialogue. So process design is really a big aspect of it.